Truly. I don't,
just like,
it doesn't fill me with rage like Mako Mart, though, so it's fine.
at the like Hagglefish, it was played a lot in global gauntlet qualifiers, and one team banned it because we were just so sick. We were sick of it. So for us, I think this is a really good sort of neutral starting point for both of these teams, because any competitive team should at the very least know how to tackle Haggle.
Yeah, they should. And I think the Carbon and Impact combo here from Goats in the Room is really interesting. I think it should work really well for them if they can get that Impact and Carbon lined up together, which it looks like they will here. The triple Instrikes coming out, the Booyah Bomb getting, I think, absorbed. And this back's going to allow them to try and keep the zone, but it's not going to be enough as the Crushing 20s just breaks through what their attempted push.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I think that if you're going to be back, you really need to secure those kills, because the back player can't really do anything other than backing for that entire time. So Tao going to kind of make the rounds, see what they can get, and all the while their pen is just set up, getting that cooler for their teammates. So maybe they actually can pick those up and move up a little bit more, but the Zuka being popped and getting a pick, 2 of those members down for Crushing 20s, handily gives the zone point to the Goat.
Yeah, the Dooley finding a great double there. The Goat in the Room looking to rush forward, but the Kraken coming out to disrupt it all. Coming over to the pencil, forcing them out of position. Behind this jump, brutal. Booyah Bomb caps the zone. Crushing 20s back in control, but we're looking at a pretty back and forth game so far.
Yes, it feels like the Goat in the Room, they're being pushed out, but they may be down, but they're certainly not out, especially with this back. This is a really good backwork we're seeing here. I think they're doing a good job of making sure that their teammates are protected and able to get the picks that they need. But I think it just feels like a battle of the specials. The vac comes out, the tri-strikes come out, the Zuka comes out. It's just a whole lot happening at once.
It is. Both of these teams ready to play at a breakneck pace. Keep it up, keep it moving. The Carbon managing to find a trade there, as they are so prone to doing. And Big New looking to go forward, finds one, doesn't find the second. But this should be a zone flip for the Goat in the Room.
Yes, and now they're moving forward, but Tao up on this top left on a bit of an off angle to see what they can get. Not quite gonna find much, and I think the Goat in the Room is able to kind of hold on to that zone. And right now, rather than getting picks, we have a bit of a fight of everyone trying to take control over that zone. The Crab is going to be striked, not quite gonna get the pick, however, and once again, we're kind of deferring to the specials. The Booyah Bomb comes out, this 1v1 Tone Warrior activates this Flow Aura, the back is out, lot going on here.
I mean, it's great to see the specials being used at such impactful times. The VAC doing an excellent job of really staving off the push there from Crushing 20s. The zone gets flipped back. Lead has switched over to the Goat in the Room, and Carbon finds one, looks for a second. But even finding that trade really slows down the pace the Crushing 20s can move forward at.
Yes, so they move forward. Tao once again moving forward, but not able to pop that bracket. I'm sure that was part of their design to make sure that they got that back down, but Nathan picking up from where they left off, activating the Flow Aura, but immediately getting canceled out by that pen. We have a pen v pen firefight, but they back off. They say, I just want to get this lead. I don't want any of that mess. Crab looking to just get the pick, and because they went down on zone, they counted for them to put it in neutral.
Yeah, it's why it's so important to not really hang out in zone when you don't need to, because it does result in a lot of extra pain that you don't necessarily want there. VAC coming out to secure the Goat in the Room's forward momentum. Not going to be able to find Ton Warrior with it. Ton Warrior looking to rush forward, able to find one. Trip strikes come out. The Dooley goes down, and that's the zone flipping handily back to them, and a lot of space left open for the Crushing 20s to rush into.
Yeah, 3 members down. This is a terrible thing to happen in this last minute. Tone Warrior ultimately goes down, so that is a piece off of the chessboard to stop you from getting into it. But Daniel, always just really reliable with this back, is going to have it active, going to back the zone to take it back here with those 30 ticks of penalty. And they're trying to get that pick on Tao. I think they get the assist ultimately, but that is going to be huge. However, those triple ink strikes, they neutralize the zone, 2 members down, and with 14 seconds left, I don't know, it's not looking good for the goat in the room.
It's not looking great. They're going to struggle to find the paint they need to lay down. And we're going to see this Carbon looking to find this forward momentum, looking to find one, able to at least force the Snipe Rider away. The 96 Scout keeping paint down, the Crab Tank coming out, but they need to keep the zone painted. The Snipe Rider going to have to work overtime to do it. The Crab Tank tries to find a pick, doesn't quite manage. A flank came in, they shut down the splatter shot. They don't need to hold for much longer, but the triple ink strikes are going to make it a challenge. The 96 Scout painting alone, the zone held, but they still can't quite breathe. But so close.
Oh, wow. The
Barely hanging on to that.
Wow, I did not actually think that they would get that. As you can see, the zone is in neutral, but it's down to the milliseconds at that point, especially because the jump got camped by the Booyah Bomb, but just not thrown fast enough, I fear, because the number ticked down. They get the lead there in overtime, and Hagglefish, it can be deceptive because it seems like it's not that big of a stage, but the lockout can be so bad that in an overtime situation like that, it just slips out of your hands.
But we should be looking at a very back and forth set with how that game went. What an incredible job by both of the teams there.
Yeah, especially because Crushing 20s right off the top, they were playing so aggressively.
Yes.
They were just in there like swimwear, moving up, trying to get, just like we saw last time, Crushing 20s, they really go for that knockout. They are hungry, but the goat in the room, clearly they were managing their specials really masterfully, especially because they're looking down a Booyah Bomb that they can cancel whenever they feel like it with that 96 and the VAC. Yeah, really back and forth, and I think these are pretty evenly matched teams, it seems.
It feels like it, and I'm really curious to see where Crushing 20s wants to take this counter pick, because we haven't seen them make one yet.
Very true. I'm wondering what is it that they're specifically good at, that they're like, maybe they've got a weird pick that they're going to do, or they might defer to something that they did particularly well at. We saw them on Tower Ship Shape.
We did.
And they had a stranglehold on the tower practically the whole time, so perhaps they decide to go there, or something that's a little bit more tailored to what they specialize in.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me to see them go to something like Humpback Pump Track Rainmaker, or any Rainmaker, quite frankly. They play so quickly that it feels like they would excel there, but they don't really run anything for quick pop, so it'll be interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can be boring, I guess. That's fine.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, as much as they play fast, they are up against a VAC, right?
Yeah.
So I think if they don't have anything that they plan, anyone who switches to a VAC weapon, maybe they're just like, we don't want to go Rainmaker, we don't have to deal with that. And seeing as though they're running, let's see, Tower, they love Tower due to their 2 GG specials. They have Forge, which has a good sub for it as well. Maybe that's what they're looking for, though they just have the Slosher, not necessarily running all that AoE that you tend to like to see on Mako.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting stage pick, especially into a Carbon with a little more thought, in all honesty. You don't typically want to play into a Carbon on Mako Mart, especially without a way of marking them, is a good rule of thumb.
Well, we see Tao here on the that Kraken shot to probably clear Tower a little bit more aggressively, but right off the top, the Slosher is going to go down, and I think this Carbon is just looking for somewhere to stand with all of that chip coming out from the pen. So Mio x Sanu just seeing what they can get right off the top.
Yeah, I mean, gotta respect it. Always gotta try for something. Not quite going great for the goat in the room so far. Not able to find the space they need to really get some stability and maintain what they were looking for. And now we have a Slosher underneath the goat in the room splat, which is not typically where you want the enemy Slosher.
Yeah, and crushing 20s, once again, they're crushing it. Bazookas are coming out, and they've successfully dodged all of those shots, all the while the Slosher goes down. But there are 3 specials online. They have a Kraken, a Booyah Bomb, and they retreat a little bit. I think that there's some pressure coming out of the GOAT in the room, but definitely 40 right off the top is not a bad score, especially you have this Kraken. I think they're saving this Kraken specifically so that he can try and get that back offline.
It feels like it, which I have to respect. It's a great way to try and counterplay into back, especially if you don't have a player comfortable switching over to a more melee type weapon like a Stamper or a Splatana. And we're seeing the GOAT in the room, making it to this checkpoint, looking to really find the space they need. Crab Tank doing an excellent job of clearing that space, but they don't have anyone set up on that upper left side or anyone really pushing through on right. But the Inkback will happily clear this checkpoint for them.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about this. When I was thinking of their counter picks, I was like, well, not Rainmaker because they have the back. And then I thought to myself, uh-oh. But not Tower because they might back the Tower. But what's left? Clams, which you might back as well. You're the push, so you gotta pick something. And it is going to be this where we see why back is just so powerful. They do those right strikes are going to kind of Hail Mary and come out and allow them to stop this push, which has gone down to 15. 2 members up on crushing 20, so they're going to have to do a lot to defend this tower, and a lot is going to come in the form of
Yeah, the Kraken coming out, causing chaos, not able to find any picks, but definitely disrupting and slowing down the tower. Downside, that gave them time to get another flash to get to this checkpoint. Carbon riding the tower, not quite able to find what they need. But every second the GOAT in the room is pushing is time the crushing 20s can't be, and they keep staggering the crushing 20s so effectively and efficiently. The cooler comes out, the carbon's on the tower, the Snipe Rider hops onto through that last checkpoint. The Julie on respawn. Finally, the crushing 20s can leave their own spawn, but they're having to paint up so much. What an incredible push there.
Yeah, I think that normally maybe the pen would have jumped out. Either they were trying to eke points or they were trying to keep the tower moving forward so it wouldn't break the cooler. So unfortunately, they do end up going down, and usually it feels like we see crushing 20s with all this aggression. They seem very cool, calm, and collected, but the fact that the Kraken was popped early instead of waiting for that back like it seems like they've been doing shows that I think they're panicking a little bit. They're on the back foot. You see all of this green, this teal, just about everywhere. There's not many places for them to stand, and despite the fact that they have these GG specials, they're not effectively slowing down the GOAT in the room. They haven't even gotten past 40 since that first push.
Yeah, they haven't gotten a second push at that. We're seeing the GOAT in the room doing an excellent job of locking down space, taking control, really good special timing, really great patience, and a lot of not overextending. Although this Light from Tao going to put in some good work, able to find one, able to look for a distraction for a second, hopping on the tower for a moment, and able to help clean up this carbon, but they had to go back for that, meaning they haven't taken any more space.
Yes, taking space seems to just not be in the cards for them, which is especially interesting. Seeing as though the GOAT in the room, they have a carbon. You know, a carbon will throw everything in the kitchen sink at you just to get a trade, but not well known for paint. So the fact that they're not able to just kind of displace the other team, and they have this Kraken and Tri-Strikes, is very interesting. But all the while, they've finally gotten a good push in. They are going. Tao goes down, however, just a few points before they're able to take this lead, and it's just the pen. The pen has low aura. They take the lead at the end of the day. There's 2 seconds left. Somehow they're going to try and get this into overtime. Seems like it's probably not going to happen, but crazier
You never know.
Happen. They are on their way.
They are on their way. The Carbon's riding the tower, able to switch with the Snipe Rider. Big Noob went down. You really can't have players going down right now if you're the GOAT in the room. They have a Trizuka ready. They're going to need to displace that pen from that far left side. The Trizuka comes out, but nobody's on tower. The trip strikes are going on. Nathan touches the tower for just a moment, and the GOAT and the Crushing 20s pulls back from the jaws of defeat for that game and takes it.
Truly, what a generational push. They were down and out for so long in that game, but perhaps that's just why they counterpicked. I think going into this, we knew that they would have the Booyah and the Tri-Strikes, and when finally the GOAT in the room were kind of making a deep run in that overtime, I was just thinking to myself, despite the fact that you have the pen chipping at them, and it's like, you have to get rid of that pen. I'm like, forget the pen. You have to get rid of the Booyah bomb holder. You have to get rid of the slosher with the Tri-Strikes. You guys can be GG'd into oblivion, and unless you just keep wiping the other team, I think there's not really that much way to get around it. So now it's the GOAT in the room that has the counter pick.
Yeah, the GOAT in the room. I mean, like we were saying after the first game, looks like it's going to be back and forth, and it looks like it's going to be overtime pushes, apparently, which is interesting to see. And I'm intrigued to see how the GOAT in the room wants to lean into having that carbon on their team. I'd imagine they probably end up wanting to go to a Rainmaker here, since they do like running that ink back, but they could prove me wrong.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. Not
Many.
gonna lie. Many stranger picks have certainly happened. I'm inclined to think that we will also see a Rainmaker pick, and honestly, maybe a Humpback Rainmaker would be a good choice, especially for that carbon. I find that they can have a lot of mileage with that. I think Zuka, after you get to that first check, and you're in that elbow, sometimes you're coming to clear that out, and then a Zuka is popped, and you just get taken out. So I would argue that would be a good choice for them, but well, I think they do have us open in another tab, truly, because they have picked Rainmaker Humpback.
Or we're just mind readers. It's a 50-50.
We just know the game that well.
We do, clearly. How else could this ever be interpreted? It's also kind of the list of standard stage and mode combinations so far, quite frankly.
Well, you're better than me. You have it like in front of you to check what's legal. I'm like, oh, clearly you take them to Urchin, and Urchin's not even on the list.
I keep so many tabs open at all times.
Me too. I constantly keep getting clocked. What do you mean you have more than 10 tabs? And I'm like, what do you mean you have less than 40? I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. If I can't access any information I could need at any time, what's the point?
Makes life so hard having so little tabs. Like, come on. And I don't even use the folders half the time either. They're like, do you want your tabs and folders? And I'm like, no, I'm
absolutely not. I know where they are.
I'll find
They're
what
mine.
I need. But I'm going to keep an eye out as to whether there's any changes. None coming out of the GOATs, none coming out of Crushing 20s as well. No surprise there, because I think that their comps are pretty well suited for what we're going to be doing.
I would agree there. And I did notice that somebody is running Last Ditch Effort, which odd to see in 2026. The Sniper Rider.
Oh, the pen.
Yeah, which is a fair enough choice. It's just not something we see as often these days. The Crushing... Yeah, just in case. You never know. That last cooler could be the most important one. The back coming out here from the GOATs in the room, able to fight a very interesting trade. Neither side finding much control thus far. The GOAT in the room looking to find it, though. Still, nobody really making much ground. Rare to see the first minute of Rainmaker essentially go by with this much neutrality. The Rainmaker has not been grabbed.
Which is especially interesting because Crushing 20s, they like to do just that. Maybe it's them just kind of respecting the strength they're seeing out of the GOAT in the room. But I feel like they tend to just rush things, and Neo is going to be sharking there, but ultimately not going to stop the other team from getting the checkpoint. A little bit slow on the draw there, but in the meantime, 3 of the members have gone down. It's just the pen, so they're moving forward while they're trusting their teammates to just pick that up so that they can kind of strike back with a quick check as well.
Yeah, and an ink back at the ready to guarantee it. Daniel doing an excellent job of moving forward. The Sniper Rider having a little bit of a hard time making it to the pedestal, able to. The vac shot coming out, helping to lay down some extra turf. Looks like Pop's going to go in favor of the GOAT in the room. Points on the board. 50, not a great lead for Humpback, but it is a lead nonetheless as the Kraken comes out. They manage to dodge it. They go forward, get a few more points, doing excellent squid rolls to eke out what they can. A lot of members of GOAT in the room still up. This push is not dead yet.
Yeah, very well done living for that long. They were squeezed in between a Bracken and a Booyah, and still, listen, that waist, skinny like Urchin underpass zone, because it just squeezed straight past that, but all the while I think the Crushing 20s, because someone picked up and immediately went down, it gave them a little bit of time to get there. Mio getting a double! That's going to be huge for them, because I think that opens the window for even more.
And they grab the
points
Rainmaker in time.
Wow.
Yeah. The Kraken managing to find the pick through that ink back there. It's why you've got to have an answer to ink backs, but it still allowed them to get all the way down to 4. And we don't say that there are safe leads in comeback, but 4 is pretty close to it.
Yeah, even though it's not one, they're practically looking at a knockout to end up winning this game. Tone Warrior going to get that pick on the Carbon. That's going to be huge for them, because I think the Carbon has kind of been a thorn in their side, but all the while 2 members have gone down. You can't really have a sufficient push with that, so I think Tao's going to back up, wait for their teammates to come back in, especially because they have a Kraken online. Maybe wait for more specials. They try again with this push.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it. Nathan trying to get crushed down. Big Noob trying to crush down Nathan there. Not able to find it. Does get away with their life. And we're just going to see a big skirmish for control of mid here yet again. Big Noob managing to dodge roll around. Not going to be enough. Another one of their teammates gets picked off. The Booyah Bomb coming out for elbow. Getting cleaned up. And the GOAT in the room knowing that they just need to not overextend. They can keep going for more pushes, but they need to keep a couple players up, because points bleed here on Humpback so quickly.
Yes, all it takes is a misplay, and lots of face palms to be had here when someone just slips through and gets all those picks. But Daniel, the vac user, they're going to camp that jump essentially and activate their floor aura while they're at it. So that is going to be the one straggler that's left. I think Daniel kind of executively deciding that they're not going to deal with it, move forward. And now that we're in this final minute, the GOAT in the room, not quite popping to push. Maybe they're just planning to stall this out, but the Crushing 20s, they have a long way to go if they want to take this game back. I believe on their... No, this is the GOAT in the room. This is their counter pick,
Yeah. The GOAT in the room doing a great job on their counter pick, as we hope to see from counter picks. 30 seconds left to go. Right now, if you're the GOAT in the room, it's so important to not overextend, to not let these trip strikes do this to you, essentially. But there is an ink back ready. A Kraken is out. They just need to find the pick. Big Noob rushing in, trying to find it. Gets them so weak, but can't find the pick. Ink back still going. Finds one, just the Carbon left up. Mio able to find the pick. Doesn't go down to the Rainmaker shot. Able to throw the burst bomb, slowing them down just long enough. 4 seconds left to go. An incredible job there from Mio. And what a great job from the GOAT in the room of not letting that Ink Strike and Kraken combination allow the Crushing 20s to get that push in.
That was so sad at the end there. Just seeing the pen, they needed to get a pick on the Carbon, but that's easier said than done when you're on Rainmaker. And that's why, honestly, I love watching Humpback Rainmaker games, because that final push is so difficult. People spawning in have a front row seat to you trying to make that run, so they can easily drop on you and end you right in your tracks. So
Yes.
that's exactly what happened. It was just the Carbon until it wasn't. Their teammates not able to jump in fast enough, unfortunately. So GOAT in the room really had control quite a while there.
They did. They looked really solid throughout that game. They knew when to back off and focus on defense. They knew how important it was to keep members up, which is one of the hardest skills to learn in Splatoon, because you always want to go for that big push. You always want to keep going and keep trying to get that momentum. But if you push that too far, you completely lose all control. You lose all the space you've gained, and it just doesn't end up working out as you need it to.
Yeah, it really is a balancing act. And speaking of balancing, Crushing 20s, they are now on the back foot where they have to figure out what their counter pick is going to be. And seeing what they're up against, the same way I was just like, I don't know if they should pick this because they're dealing with the back, or etc., etc. they're really going to have to balance what it is that they're going to pick. Now, they lost on zones right off the top by milliseconds, if anything.
Yeah, wouldn't shock me to see them try and go back to zones here, in full honesty.
No, same.
If that's possible. I'm pretty sure that's possible. I always get confused with counter. No, here they can. That's too many different counterpick rules live in my brain at all times.
That is not. Sometimes it's like, no, you're not crazy. Sometimes it's like, well, if you've already gone there, then you can't pick it. You can only pick from what's left. So it's just clams. But I believe in this case, if you've lost on it, you're allowed to counter pick to it. So likely they will go back to zones. A lot of competitive players just have a preference for zones off the top. And I think it's also the mode that is probably going to give them the least amount of grief with that back that they're going up against.
Yeah.
So, just kind of like a take your pick of the best zone, because you certainly, they've also lost Rainmaker. They're not going to want to do that.
No.
And the last thing is clams, which can also be really strong backs. We are going to go to Splat Zones Roboramen. Very standard pick.
Yeah, this is about as standard as it gets. I guess I'll say that we haven't seen Inkblot tower control, which is a win for me. I think Mako Mart and Inkblot should be retired for 2 months as a treat.
Oh my gosh.
They can come back after.
I don't know. As Mako Mart and Inkblot, as a Clash player, I cannot accept this. Those are some fantastic Clash maps, and we deserve rights too.
Clash Blasters do. Those stages have been seen on loops in Splatoon 2.
That's not crazy. I think that Inkblot Zones is crazy. The fact that I see so many people pick Inkblot
We used to play, that used to be a regular tournament pick. Inkblot Rainmaker used to be a normal thing. I don't know. Life has changed.
Terrible. But we're going to somewhere that isn't terrible.
That's a pencil and a splatling.
It is, and we've been seeing a lot more of that lately in competitive play. Much to my chagrin, but the point here is, as much as people are like, what's up with this double backline? I think that Pen has largely been seen as a support backline, but people have definitely been playing it more aggressively these days. You see a lot of them kind of just pushing forward and taking low low ground, and meanwhile the Heck is there to pick up the slack of the paint from the Pen just playing aggressively. So I think that's sort of the mindset going into this game.
Yeah, but the crushing 20s exploding out of the gate here, able to find an early opening push. Already down to 57 points, still have a 2-down situation for the GOAT in the room, and Crushing 20 is not looking to let off the gas anytime soon, finding pick after pick, and not giving the GOAT in the room any time to establish and set up. But Bazooka comes out, finds one, looks for a second. The GOAT in the room needs to break in soon.
Yeah, and they're trying to do that with the crowd. You're saying they had their foot on the gas, but unfortunately, maybe a little bit of a lapse there. The sprinkler on the top of that bowl is just going to help them with that team, as well as the GOAT in the room. They take the zone, but also they're playing quite carefully. This is what I feel like we saw out of Crushing 20s the last time they were on stream. They played Roboramen, and they played careful until they had their specials, and then they just collapsed on the other team. And I think that's what we see out of the GOAT in the room, but ultimately they lose the zone, and Crushing 20s is back in control.
Yeah, that's Slosher doing an excellent job of playing around this map geometry, knowing what they can get away with. Also feels like Carbon can't get away with as much on this stage. And the Crushing 20 is just doing an excellent job of finding these holes. Bazooka comes out, but not going to be able to find more than one. And just a really tough time for the GOAT in the room, trying to break in. Big Noob gonna try and force an opening here. Getting this crab tank ready. Going to be able to pop it to start this hold. As the Carbon rushes forward, hoping to find one. Able to jump back in the process. And the Kraken went back to try and find the Carbon.
Yes, it would be huge to get them off of the chessboard, so to speak, and they do exactly that. Tao just trying to live in that elbow, but not only do they go down, they're not even able to necessarily get the trade. So Tom Warrior, being the only person up, is going to try and defend themselves with those tri-strikes. Not quite going to work. It seems like we're seeing a lot of these like fadeaway shots. People just Hail Marrying, jumping off to an off angle to get the pick. And all the while, the GOAT in the room have had a really great hold on this zone. They get the lead and ultimately lose it, but really great hold that whole time.
Yeah, I mean, really great push down to 22. Solid start. But they're going to need to be able to consistently break back in to keep those penalty points applying to crushing 20s as they are rapidly working through them, almost through them already. The GOAT in the room just needs to make sure that they're able to get enough paint onto zone, but they're about to be in danger.
Big Noobs has really been moving and shaking and just cleaning up a lot of the team fights. Now they're not able to quite find anything on this crab. They kind of take this awkward off angle, but it's very important that they take this back. They do take the zone, but once again, they're playing a little bit careful. Nobody has their specials, so they're just going to have to rely on making these openings themselves. And once again, the Carbon is just being a nuisance to them. They're on the side, probably trying to get anyone who goes too close to the ledge, but now that Tao has popped this Kraken and gotten rid of Big Noobs, who has been such a nuisance, I think that Crushing 20s are in a great position to take that nuisance.
And they do. They're going to look to try and find a way to put pressure on this elbow now, but they need to be ready to watch out for flanks from Big Noob, from the Carbon, because both of them are so willing to rush in. Trades coming out from both sides. The zone flips over to the GOAT in the room. Big Noob finds another, and just an incredible situation here for the GOAT in the room. 30 ticks left. They're almost to a crab tank. They're close-ish to a Zuka. They have a heavy to lay down turf, a pencil to keep the other one at bay. And what a great situation to be in for them.
Yeah, and they forced that Slosher to use their tri-strikes a little bit early with that crab. The crab's going to be offline, but ultimately it works out for them. Tao has this Kraken, probably going to pop it to force everybody out. No, going to do some manual shooting, going to risk it, but now is the time to display, so they're running after all of those players. None of their team is necessarily able to get the zone up until now. That was a close one. They might not have triggered overtime if they didn't get that paint down, but now they're going to have to pick how it is they deal with the GOAT room now that they're in overtime, and I guess it's just not deal at all because Big Noobs just kind of tears through them like paper at the end.
Big Noob was doing an excellent job of really repositioning frequently and often taking advantage of the high mobility of Dooley to be a distraction, to be a nuisance, and popping those crab tanks from really strong positions to allow their teammates the opportunity to get in.
Yeah, they were really, I feel like we were seeing a lot of the Carbon play for most of the set.